Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome to the live show for the Final Bibliothon and our discussion of Aurora Rising. Does anyone actually have a copy of Aurora Rising on them? Because I don't.
I have the naked cover.
Oh, look at that gorgeous cover. Today, that is the book that we are going to be discussing, but we are also going to be talking about our experiences with the last Bibliothon and all of the previous biannual Bibliothons we've had, because this is like a very nostalgic and bittersweet live show for us, considering it is the last one ever. So if you guys have any questions for Bibliothon related things or Aurora Rising when we start talking about that book, please feel free to leave them in the chat. And of course, throughout the discussion, feel free to share your thoughts as well. We are going to be starting off by talking about the Bibliothon. Oh, sorry, 1 second. I just started echoing. So yes, we're going to start talking about the Bibliothon. So feel free to send any questions you guys have, any experiences you might have had in this Bibliothon or the past one. Jenny, my co-host, maybe have a question to start us off.
What is your favorite video that you've ever done for any of the Bibliothons?
Oh my god.
Oh, that's a good question.
We're not starting with me. With it.
I think I know my one. I think mine was the scavenger hunt, where there were like different fiction, like bookish items that you had to find.
Oh, I love that challenge. I actually watched my video for that a couple of days ago. It was a really unique challenge that we did.
It was definitely unique. I just had so much fun filming it. I was like going out and about, and like, because there was one part where you had to find Talia's tree from Percy Jackson, and I'd like drew a little face and stuck it to a tree, like a random tree in a park. And I went back a few months later because I'd forgotten to take it with me, and it was still there.
That was a good one.
Bookish
music video is always my favorite, obviously.
Of course.
I think one of my favorites that I've ever made, I had the most fun making, I don't even remember what it was called. It was Harry Potter, Voldemort, and Ron Weasley.
I know.
Oh, magic. It had something to do with magic.
It's a song from Pitch Perfect. It's one of the end songs. And I had so much fun filming that. I don't even think it's on my channel anymore. But my sister and Selena and I filmed that within like one night. They had never heard the song before. I told them, we're doing this song. You guys are wearing whatever outfits. And we set up like this janky, like, sheet in the garage and like all filmed it. And it was hysterical because no one knew the words except for me. And it's just really fun. And that video is funny too. So yeah.
That Ron wig is just one of my favorite things on the planet.
Yeah. Funny on
everyone. One that's coming to mind, I don't know if it's actually my favorite that I've ever filmed, is the cinema challenge, where I did a crossover between Order of the Phoenix and Mean Girls. And it was playing on like Harry's like angst and how Dumbledore was ignoring him, like how Regina treats Gretchen and Gretchen like cracks. And I basically took the whole scene from Mean Girls and just like completely converted it to Harry Potter, and it was really funny. So
for a second when you said that, I thought you said cinnamon challenge. Like, wait, I can remember that.
How long have we been on YouTube?
Oh my god. Yeah, that's one that comes to mind for me.
This is so hard because it's like one of those things where you kind of like doing the different ones for different reasons. Sometimes you love certain ones for the actual process of making it, and some you like love for how it came out. Like, probably the most fun to film was probably oh my god, I don't remember the name of the challenge. It was like, I think it was like it was either the anti-pickup lines or the lip sync battle, whatever that one is, only because I filmed it with Allie from The Librarian, and that was just like literally like the funnest videos to film. I mean, I still laugh when I watch them because I think they're funny videos, but I think part of it was because like I watched that and I just remember how much I laughed just in between like takes. But as far as like maybe final products go, I mean, I did love how those came out, but I think as far as final products go, it might have been when I did all the bookish couples for, oh my God, what is the name of that train song? Soul Sister. And I did Hey Soul Sister. And I put so much work into it with all the costumes and the editing and like pairing everything together and all my quick costume changes. Like that one I did like all in one day and trying to make sure I got it right and all the editing to put it together. So I ended up being like pretty proud of how that one came out by the end of it. Nice. Because, you know, it was a lot of work.
Yeah, those ones are the best. And a lot of work in parodies.
Right.
Brittany, are you back?
I'm not sure.
Sounds like it, I think.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So what we're talking about right now, what we're talking about is like your favorite video challenge that you've ever done from any bibliothon.
Yeah, I figured that's what you guys were talking about. That's a really hard. Like some that come to mind was actually I feel like they're all in the same year, but the movie trailer one I really enjoyed filming, and that was a host day one. I really enjoyed that one. But then there was also like when I made like the breastplate for Selena Sardathian, like I made it from like the and like, but I didn't really enjoy creating that much. It was kind of a lot, but then the outcome was really great. But I also really enjoy like skit ones. Like I enjoyed the one I did this year where I was trying to copy Red's makeup. Like I had so much fun filming it.
That cracked me up.
There's so many. Yeah, I just enjoyed this year, and I think the funnest ones to film were the skits because I love to just make people laugh. But I think the outcome, I would have to say, the breastplate one would probably be my answer.
I see Reeds asks, what are you all going to miss most about the Bibliothon? I have my answer ready. If you guys,
you go then.
The thing that I am absolutely going to miss the most is just like being so immersed in the Bibliothon and talking to everyone about it 24/7, like all week long. Like we would not only just talk about like our experiences with the group book in like our Bibliothon group chat, but like we would talk about like whose video challenges we liked. Like we would send each other links when we were reviewing the entries and we'd be like, oh my God, this is hilarious. You guys have to watch this. And of course, like the reading sprints and like just all the interaction between us as hosts and the whole community and like all of the amazing participants. That's definitely what I'm going to miss the most.
That's a good one. I'm gonna say my favorite, or what I'm gonna miss the most is just the creative part of it. It's always been my favorite part to like film skits, plan out like what you're gonna do, what outfits you're gonna wear, buying fucking random ass wigs, and like it's just really fun. And I love that it makes everyone. Ooh, I'm echoing. Can anyone hear that? Okay.
I think it's echoing from Brittany's.
Me? Oh my gosh. I don't even have headphones either. Oh no. Okay. Okay, I'll be back. I'll mute me until I can find headphones.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, that's better. I just love that it brings everyone out of their comfort zone. Like I love to see, because BookTube is really repetitive. Everyone makes hauls and reviews and TBRs and what I'm reading and what I'm going to be reading and all that stuff, which I enjoy too. But I really enjoy to watch people like make funny stuff and cool stuff and like people doing DIY challenges and making these amazing things that they never would have made unless we like essentially had told them to. Like, I just think it's really cool that it brings everyone out of their comfort zone and it makes a final product that everyone enjoys and has fun with. So I'll miss it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like, I agree. I totally agree with all that. And like another small thing I'm going to miss is like seeing it all come together. Like, I've always really enjoyed the organization process because we get people to like send in ideas for all of these video challenges and reading challenges. And it's so cool to see all of these creative ideas and then, you know, pinpointing what would be fun to do this round and ways to make the read-a-thon different and make things different each time has always been really cool. And then seeing it all come together with the actual read-a-thon and then how everyone interprets the challenges. There's just so much I love about it.
I think for me, I mean, it's kind of going along with that because I don't even want to say that it's like our group talking because I know that that's not going away. Like, that's the part of this that will stay because, yeah, we're all Bibliothon hosts, but like you guys are genuinely like my best friends in the entire world. So it's not something that's going to go away just because the Bibliothon is ending. So that part is like, I know that that's not something to miss because I'm not losing it. But I think, I don't know, I think it is part of like sharing this process with you guys, but it does like come really down to the creativity, both for what I've seen it bring out of us and what I've seen it bring out of those participating, because it's really amazing. Like, you just are pushed so far out of your comfort zone and you find yourself not only filming the most ridiculous, embarrassing, hilarious things that you pull out of your brain that you're just like, God, I hope nobody in my real life ever watches this. But you post it anyway and you like laugh at it and you get to like enjoy it with your friends. And there's something to that where I get to see people sending in their videos and I get to see suddenly everybody else coming out of their shell and being almost like the purest, best parts of themselves through these videos, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
That's awesome. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, I'm just testing. How am I doing?
So far, so good though. It sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, there's no mic on these earphones. Hopefully that's okay.
No, you sound great.
I good? Okay, awesome. What are we talking about?
We were talking about what we are going to miss the most about the Bibliothon.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear you guys' answers because I was running about, but actually, I would say similar to, actually, I heard Sierra's and I was like, oh, totally. With the creative side of everything, because I find like generally when you're doing booktube videos, it's really hard to come up with like really creative ideas, unless you're Emma and Kaz and Red. But I would say you, Sierra, you're not on YouTube anymore. But I find like it brings out that creative side of ideas for myself and creative videos, and I have fun. It's just not the generic stuff anymore. And then the second thing would be, honestly, these guys. Even though we'll still always talk, it just brings us together. And yeah, definitely that would be my two things.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Related to the
Dylan is MIA. You don't know where Dylan is?
not related to the Bibliothon question at all, but I just have to say, can somebody put Katrina like on a book cover now with like those white headphones on her long purple hair? Like, tell me that.
Oh my God, she looks like she's gonna be like the next hot YA girl hacker,
right? Or she's like,
oh my God,
or something, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Sure. Can do that.
So I figured we could maybe talk about like this Bibliothon and like what we read, what challenges we completed, and like maybe what our favorite book was, and like whoever else is in the chat, I would love to know what you guys read, what you accomplished, and whatnot.
Yeah.
Brittany, do you want to start?
Sure. So I'm gonna be. I'm so weird this round. I'm gonna be honest. This Bibliothon was really, really hard for me and really stressful because it ended up happening right when I was moving. So I was moving and I actually didn't have internet. So it was a very difficult process. So I didn't stress myself out with connecting books to challenges because I knew I wouldn't be able
to do that much or read that much. So I ended up making a priority to finish Aurora Rising, which I finished early on, which was so great because I listened to the audiobook. So I was able to pack and move and like listen to the audiobook, which was really great. So I got that done. And then I read half of Air of Fire for me and Cassie's Throne of Glass read along. I didn't put anything to challenges, so I'm kind of a fail, but I wanted to prioritize the things that I knew I needed to get done. And honestly, that was my reading experience.
Mhm.
So I'm starting us off real bad.
No, not at all.
And
You still accomplished a lot.
Well, exactly. Moving is hella stressful.
Mhm.
And it takes up so much
Oh,
so much
yeah.
damn time.
I think I moved like during the first Bibliothon.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
And that would have been as well when there was like more of an effort to do all of the video challenges as well, right? And post. Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah, we used
I'm a
to
pro.
do every single
Yeah.
one. Oh,
Yes.
Wow.
Oh my God. Every single one of them. I
that was
forgot.
rough.
Wild. Kaz, how was your Bibliothon?
Well, I went in really anxious because I didn't think I was going to do that well because I completely ran out of time to do like any of the challenges. But I'm really, really happy that I read all of these.
Wow.
I
Whoa.
shocked.
Incredible.
Holy
So-
crap.
Kaz coming in with the big guns.
I read 8 books. I planned on reading 9, but I didn't get to the 9th one. But I think I still finished all of the
Wow.
challenges. I'm shook. I've been in like a reading slump for like a year, so
Oh my God, I'm
great.
so happy for you.
Did that get you out of your reading slump, Kaz?
Oh, I think so.
Did that get you out of your reading slump?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. And like I'm looking at all the people in the comments. They're like, I read 7 books, 6
I
books,
know.
4
Oh,
books,
it's
5 books. I'm like,
amazing.
oh my God, you guys are killing it.
Oh, that just makes me so
Oh my
favorite book was definitely
gosh.
7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Yes, I see reads.
So
Yes. My favorite was
Oh, I want
probably
to read
Night
that
House.
so bad.
Oh my God, I want to read that so bad.
It was so good. It was a
What's-
good one for a
What's
readathon because
Night
It's
it's
Lee
the
Bardugo's adult book.
Lee Bardugo.
It's adult.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
set
yeah,
at Yale with
okay.
these like secret societies that like deal with witchcraft and ghosts and oh god, it was really good.
Oh, I might have to read that.
Yeah, it was a good one for a readathon as well because even though it's like 450 pages, it like read really fast because it's very gripping.
I'm gonna have to go to Michael, Monica, and Kaylee's apartment and steal their copy. Sierra, how was your bibliothon?
I didn't set any expectations for myself only because I haven't participated in a read along in God knows how long, and I don't really do BookTube anymore, as you guys know. So I was really proud to put out a video. I just have to say that Selena and I worked really hard, and half the time we were like dying because we didn't know how to do anything. We had to like relearn everything. I didn't know how to edit anymore. I didn't know how to do anything like making the song. Like it took us so long. And then like, of course, filming went by so fast. Like we just popped up the camera and like we're ridiculous. And so that was so fun.
It was amazing.
Reading wise, I only read Aurora Rising, which actually is pretty great for me because I work full time and I teach and I'm busy a lot and I don't get a lot of reading in like I used to. So I'm usually about like maybe 1 book a month, if that, depending on like what my schedule looks like. So reading a book in a week was like A+ for me.
That's awesome.
Woohoo!
That's how it went. I
That's
finished
awesome.
the challenge.
Red, what about you?
I read 2.5 books, which sounds better than it is because I read 2 graphic novels on the first day. So I read Amulet and I read Anya's Ghost. And then I read
Amulet.
and then I read the first half of Aurora Rising on the second day. And I got through the first like 200 or so pages of that. And then it all went downhill from there really quickly because one, like working full time this week, and I've had such a crazy loaded schedule this week. Like, I can't tell you how many times I cried from exhaustion. Like, that's how this week was going for me. And especially, I think between Tuesday and like yesterday, I really barely spent any time at home unless I was reading, because I was either at work or getting stuff done, which made it not very conducive for reading. So I ended up not finishing the second half of Aurora Rising till today, which is why I say 2.5, because technically I finished the second half today and not yesterday.
Totally fair.
Yeah, for videos, I obviously posted my host day, which if you didn't see that, it was a parody of the Full House intro. And then, does it count if I was technically featured in Brittany's?
Yes.
it was without my knowledge, but I'm in it, so that kind of counts, right? As being part of the makeup.
Yeah.
I was gonna do Emma's, and Emma's probably like, "Hey, I thought you were doing mine," but
I totally forgot you asked me about that.
Yeah. But then I realized Emma's challenge wasn't like, it was just like music voiceover, and then I found Red's where she's actually talking about what she's doing, and I was like, okay, that's gonna be better. Yeah, sorry, Red.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I think I had a great bibliothon. I read 3.5 books, which I'm so proud of, because I'm in school right now, and summer classes are like 4 times as much work as normal semesters, because you have to do 4 months work in 1 month. So reading 3.5 books this week was amazing for me. And I vlogged the whole thing, which I'm really excited to get to editing, because vlogging always makes the bibliothon even more fun. And my favorite book that I read was, I like surprisingly did not have a 5-star read this whole bibliothon, which I feel like is like a novel thing for me. But I think my favorite was probably Let's Call It a Doomsday by Katie Henry, which comes out in like 2 or 3 weeks. And it was super cute and fun. And I literally read it in 3 days, which like I haven't done in so long. So I flew through it.
Awesome.
Oh, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Do we maybe have... Yeah, I was really proud of. And I didn't get to finish my other audiobook, but I'm almost done with it and I am enjoying it. So it's been good. Do we maybe have like another, like one more bibliothon question, and we can jump into spoiler free for Aurora Rising, or what do y'all want to do?
I would say if anyone has questions, ask us now.
Yes. If you have it.
Don't get anything, we'll move on.
Yes. I'm trying to think if there's a question I can.
I know. I don't know if I have any either. Have you guys watched any of your entries yet?
No, I didn't see links, but I think that's only because they're like weren't showing up on my phone, and I haven't been on like my computer on the bibliothon to check for them. So
I checked my video today and I saw like that I had entries, but I haven't watched any yet, but I want to.
Yeah. I'm hoping to be able to start on those.
I saw a few. Yeah, I saw a few, but my comments were being all glitchy on my phone too, and I couldn't watch them on my phone.
Yeah,
but I did
see links didn't show up for me for some reason on my phone, at least.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, same. Weird.
But I know people filmed them because I remember
Fandom in Book says,
on Twitter.
Do you think you'll ever do... Sorry, what?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say Fandom in Book said, do you think you'll ever do a bibliothon reprisal in a few years?
That'd be so fun.
I would say that that's something you'll have to ask
I don't know.
in a few years.
Yeah. maybe instead of like a 9-day readathon, we could do like a weekend bibliothon. It's like very low effort for us to throw in. Maybe, never say never.
I know. I like the idea of it, but like one of the main... Yes.
I would say that we're not closed off to the idea. We're open to the idea, but we just could not say like definitively at this point.
Yeah.
You know,
especially since like one of the main reasons we decided to end it was because all of our schedules just aren't conducive to hosting 2 readathons a year that are really in depth. So it depends what we're all doing in a few years' time and if it makes it a little easier.
Yeah, maybe we'll like all settle into like a job schedule and have more free time. Who knows?
Wishful thinking.
Fingers crossed. So maybe we can start talking about Aurora Rising. So we'll start with spoiler-free thoughts. So like ratings, spoiler-free questions. If you guys have any spoiler-free questions, feel free to ask them, and then we'll jump into some final spoiler-filled thoughts to close out. So Brittany, what was your rating and spoiler-free thoughts?
Okay. Okay, my rating is 3 or 2.5 stars for Aurora Rising. It's funny, I started off with the 3 when I finished it, but then as I like thought about it some more, I think I was just being generous. And so I'm going to go more at 2.5 for Aurora Rising. First off, I'll just say I'm not a huge fan of sci-fi books. Like, I like watching sci-fi, but I'm also not a huge fan of reading them. But I also do like a good sci-fi. Like, I felt this was boring for the most part. Like, I thought it would just get better, and I was listening to the audiobook, by the way. So I feel like the audiobook saved it. Like, what was really good for me was the cast. Like the cast of characters, the narration, the sound effects. Like, the audiobook was really good, but the story for me was just a little bit boring, and it just wasn't my jam. I also didn't like Illuminate either, so I don't know if it's just not my thing. But what's interesting is I really loved Amie Kaufman's series with Megan Spooner, and I love Jay Kristoff. Like, I love Nevernight, God's Grave. Like, his writing in that is like impeccable to me. But this story was just a little bit lackluster and just couldn't grab my attention. That's all I'll probably say right now.
Totally fair. Kaz, what did you think? Because you read it long before any of us, right?
Yeah, I read it early. I think I had an early copy, and then I reread it this time by listening to the audiobook, which was great. Definitely agree that it's like the cast did a great job. And I can't remember. I'm not there's definitely some similar narrators from Illuminate, and I wasn't sure if one of them narrated Aiden or if that was, I couldn't tell.
Oh,
anyway,
interesting.
I need to look into it, because obviously the person narrating Aiden made themselves sound a little different because it was an AI, so I wasn't sure if it was or not. But I gave this like 4.5, somewhere between those two. I really enjoyed it, and I loved Illuminate as well. I do really enjoy sci-fi, so that was a lot of fun. I feel like this book though was definitely a setup book, introducing us to the characters and kind of like slowly like unraveling the mysteries of like what's really going on. And obviously a lot of things aren't revealed until later on in the book, and that's kind of where it's like, okay, now shit's hit the fan, the next book's gonna go like wild. So I definitely think it was a bit of a setup book, but I did enjoy it. I did have a lot of I did think it was a lot of fun. It was interesting having 6 points of view. I feel like, was it 6 or 7?
7.
7.
Oh my God.
And obviously some characters are favored more than others, and I feel like Zila in particular, I wanted more from her. Like, I feel like she wasn't really fleshed out as a character compared to some of the other ones. But anyway, we'll get into details about that later. But a lot of fun. I feel like I'm probably going to enjoy the later books in the series more than this one though, because it is setting up for more.
All right. I believe I'm next. I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. I don't like sci-fi. I never really have. I do enjoy, like Brittany said, watching sci-fi on television, but reading it just never really does it for me. I also felt like the plot was really lacking. the 7 point of views, a lot of characters were really lacking, so I couldn't really get invested into anyone. I would say I'm also too old to read this book because it's definitely a YA novel. It's definitely geared towards young adults. So I think I'm too old, which is why I think I really didn't like it. And I also just was really bored. And it could just be me, but I just didn't really enjoy it. But I would give it 2 stars because, I mean, I think the characters were fun, but like half of them had nothing. So I feel like maybe they should have just eliminated and had less. I don't know.
I agree. I would have probably would have been a bit stronger with less perspectives.
I would also say it might be better, like, if you were to wait until the other books were out and maybe like do a binge read, like that might make it a better experience. But since it just came out and there's nothing following, like I think it's just lacking.
Yeah.
I guess that I personally would rate it like 2 to 2.5 stars. I didn't hate it, but honestly, kind of in the same boat where I was just really bored. Hi, Leon. I was just really bored. Like, honestly, my favorite character out of everybody was Magellan, and he was a computer. And so I felt like I felt like this computer that was not even like a huge part of the story at all had more personality than most of the characters. I'm not usually big on sci-fi, but that being said, I can usually get on board with a sci-fi book if it really picks it up in other areas. Like you have really good characters, you have a really interesting storyline, I'll be less interested in some of the sci-fi speak, so I knew that probably going in, because I'm not as into sci-fi, it would have taken a lot to blow me away to make it 5 stars in my opinion. But I thought it at least had the potential for up to 4 stars because, again, those other elements can dominate for me. And that's what I was really hoping would happen because I love a good squad story. Like, I love a good squad. Yeah. And I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't really feeling the romance at all. And I feel like, to me, if you were to take out some of the references to sex and whatnot, I feel it almost felt a little middle grade to me, if I'm being honest, right? It was definitely lacking in that character, and I think that was part of it. Like, I feel like if this was geared, you clean up some of the older references in there, I definitely feel like this book could have been geared toward a middle grade audience and done very, very well, actually, because and if I'd gone into it expecting middle grade, I think that I would have done a lot better for me because I would have known what I was getting out of it. But even for YA, which, there are certain parts of YA I don't always relate to, but I'm still capable of enjoying YA. I expect that at that demographic point, I expect more from the characters, and I feel like I didn't receive it. And I get that a lot of it was set up, and I understand the necessary parts of that, but some parts I don't think needed to be as long as they were, because again, it was really boring. Even when I was kind of enjoying it, I really wasn't motivated to come back to it or pick it up. And it made me sad because I also felt like I felt the potential of the story. I felt like it was there, but it didn't quite meet it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but there are definitely like problems I had with it where like, I am definitely someone who my ratings can like fluctuate a lot based on if the element is strong enough for me. But what I liked about it is I did like the cast of characters. Not all of them were super fleshed out, but I liked the dynamic of them. And like you said, Red, I felt like there was a lot of potential there. I had a lot of fun with like the sci-fi elements. And I feel like it also just reminded me a lot of like the sci-fi books that I was reading when I first got into YA. So I totally agree. It is like a hard, like, it's like definitely like not the type of young adult that almost goes into new adults, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it's definitely I feel like it's targeted towards a little bit of the younger, like more like accurate YA audience. But I did like the sci-fi elements of it, but I totally agree that it was like a filler book for book 1. Like, the whole entire thing was just a setup for what is going to happen in book 2. And I'm like, you can't write a first installment with that being the intention of it. Like, it needed to have its own plot, and I just felt like the whole story, we were getting a lot of questions and there was a lot of mystery, and like we didn't really make a ton of progress on figuring all of those things out. Then we got some info at the end and it's like, okay, so this is now what we have to do. So that was definitely my biggest gripe with it. I was like expecting more like action, like various plot lines about things they have to do and accomplish, and it just really wasn't that.
Yeah, because it is more linear.
Yeah,
rather than diverging and then coming together. Yeah.
Like the way I describe it, I was like, okay, this is like baseline. This is like good. This is fine. Oh, we found out some information. Okay. Oh, something happened. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Like literally just like little peaks and stuff happening. And I felt like the tone of scenes would go on for really long. Like we would have really long periods of character interaction and like relationship building, and then it would be a super long scene of them doing something super science fiction-y in space, and then it would go back to a bunch of different chapters of just the characters getting to know each other and interacting, and so that was a little bit of a pet peeve for mine too.
I kind of feel like if this was adapted like into a television show, you could have covered the whole book in the first 1 to 2 episodes.
Oh my god,
yeah,
that's so
and
funny.
I also felt like you expected something to happen like every chapter, and then you finally get to the end and you're like, oh, it's just setting it up like the whole time.
And I really don't agree with a setup book. Like, I think if you're gonna write a series, like all 3 should be, or like all however many should be just as important. Like, I understand like character building, but like something should be happening meanwhile. Like,
because you can also build the characters and their relationships through the way they interact with each other when they're dealing with a lot of heavy stuff. So it's not, you didn't need quite as much time just seeing them chatting and interacting.
And I think that's a part that kind of bothers me too, is that if it's already like, I do agree that you have to have some more going on besides character building, but if that was the focus, was the character building, why wasn't the character building done better then?
I agree.
Because at least if I'd gotten some character building out of it, I've been like, yes, I wish more was going on in the actual plot, but at least it's sort of making up for it in another department. And I feel like since the characters were so lacking, I'm like, what did we get?
Yeah, it didn't balance itself out with what they decided to focus on.
I agree. I feel the same way about the romances.
Do we maybe want to jump into some spoilers? Or Brittany, did you want to?
Yeah. Because I forgot we haven't said that, so I was going to say something, but yeah, I guess spoilers.
Okay, so now we're jumping into spoilers. So if you haven't read Aurora Rising, I would recommend not continuing because we're going to talk about all the details. So yeah, bye non-spoiler people. Brittany, what were you going to say? Because it seemed like it was a spoilery thing.
Well, kind of, but not really. But I was just in case. So the one thing that I was thinking the whole time, I don't know if they marketed it this way, but I felt like it felt so much like Star Trek. So what was Cal was like Spock. Like he's like, you have no emotion, and then he falls in love with that girl. I guess that is, but like he falls in love with Aurora, who kind of reminded me of Star Trek, like the newer Star Trek when he falls in love with the other girl on the space station. I can't remember her name, but like all I could picture was Spock in my head the whole time, and I was like, this is exactly the same.
He imprinted on.
Am I the only one that thought that?
Just saying.
Yeah.
He imprinted on her.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I can't believe like we're back here.
I'm like, how old am I?
You are my mate.
Still? Like we're still mating? I don't understand.
I know. I don't like the whole imprinting thing.
I don't know. Like, also, like, okay, so usually, like, I'm not this person when it comes to books, but you have this entire squad, right? And, like, not everybody had to develop romances. Like, that is not a requirement, you know, but say, like, one couple develops a romance, okay, fine. But no, you have 2 basically for sure romances happening, you know, no matter how, like, active they are on, you know, how much they act on it. You have at least Tyler and Kat, and you have Aurora and Cal. And then there was kind of sort of something developing between Finn and Scarlett, although that was like really, really like, early on. So a couple things here. One, that's a lot of romances to try and like juggle, and none of them really came through at all. And so that's part of it. But also you have an entire group. You have 7 people on one squad, and you're going to try and balance all these out. And it seems very convenient that half happen to be women and half happen to be men. And you didn't think to like include
and they're all hetero.
Right. Well, I think
no. Finian is bi. I wish he's
bi, but then he ends up.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wish that he had feelings for Tyler. Like at the start, he's like, I could have like I'd beg either of them any day. I was like, well, why? I could have gone for Tyler.
Right. And honestly, Finn even ending up with a woman, like being bi, that's completely valid. But I wish we didn't have so many like male-female like romances. You have so many romances, and not a single one of them switched up that dynamic. I'm like, you had so many opportunities, or narrow it down to one romance, and I probably wouldn't have even questioned it.
Right.
I agree with that. I think it was definitely a lot, and they weren't able to give enough attention to all of them in the very beginning. So I think it would have been fine if they had maybe like Tyler and Kat, like longtime friend, really sure, that's fine. And Cal and Aurora, new characters, that's fine too. But I just feel like with Finn and Scarlett, like it really should have waited until other books down the line, and like we could have had like platonic relationships to explore. And I also agree. Like one thing I actually liked about the beginning of the book is that while I could definitely tell that like, okay, Cal and Aurora are gonna have a thing, and Scarlett and Kat and Tyler have a thing, I also kind of felt like maybe like Tyler and Aurora would develop a thing, or
that's what I thought.
And like I could tell that there were distinct lines being formed, but there was also a lot of mystery to it. I was like, ooh, like I can't fully tell. I feel like everyone's kind of flirting a little bit, and I liked that. And it just didn't hold up at the end because everyone was getting like paired off. So I wish that like mystery of who's gonna end up together would have been cool.
That would have been really cool.
And it was there in the beginning.
Building. Yeah.
Did I imagine this, or did Tyler and Finn kiss?
They did.
Yeah.
Doing it as a
leaving that mystery would have been so fun.
I'm just saying, like, if Tyler and
Finn, wasn't it Tyler and Cal?
It would have been such a fun.
Was it Tyler and Cal?
It was Tyler and Cal.
Oh my God! See, even more.
You're totally right.
I knew 2 boys kissed, and I was like, there were so many different possible relationships, and I just feel like they didn't build. That was such a fun and unique thing, and they didn't build it up enough.
Just really felt it in the end.
I appreciate at least that those like taboo barriers were for the most part broken down. In that aspect, I really appreciated.
Yes.
Finn openly talking about his bisexuality. Right. Tyler, obviously we don't know specifically what his orientation is, right? Because he might, whether he's a straight man that's, just comfortable, kissing guys and doesn't think anything of it. I'm absolutely fine with that dynamic. Or whether he also happens to be bisexual, however it works out, that's fine. So at least when it comes to the taboo part of it, I definitely like that it was just sort of like a non-issue. There wasn't any taboos with it,
I definitely agree with that.
I just wish that we could have built upon that and created something better.
I agree with that. Let me see if we have any other questions in the chat, or if you guys have any.
I have a question.
Huh?
How the hell did Tyler and what was her name? Kat? Is that her name?
Yeah.
They grew up together, and she has an accent. I don't understand that. If they grew up in space, they're not even on Earth where like other accents and they grew up together since they were 5.
I agree.
How the fuck can she have an accent?
Wait, that's hilarious.
The Australian accents in the audiobook were terrible.
Oh my God, they were so bad.
Oh my God.
So you guys have to select Kaz say, because Kaz would know.
I'm so frustrated about it.
Yeah, it started out with Tyler, his perspective, I think, when we first hear Kat speaking. So at first I was like, is he trying to do British or Australian? He's failing at both.
Yes. I felt totally the
Anyway,
same.
Yeah.
that made it quite uncomfortable to listen to. That's the only thing I hated about the audiobook. Like, don't even try.
Yeah, it was not. I loved the narrator for Kat. I loved her voice, but
It was
everyone
great. It
trying
just
to
didn't
do
make
her voice was terrible.
Mm.
Yeah.
Only problem I had with Kat's voice, and this is literally like not, this is my own issue, is the fact that because I was trying to get through this book so fast, I was listening to it on 3 times speed while following along with the book to get through it faster. And she talks faster than every other character in that book, and that 3 times speed was difficult in her sections.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I remember
Jessica says Kat
I
didn't
was-
meet them until they were
Oh.
in primary school, so she'd have time to
Mm.
develop an accent, but I'm not sure where it would come from.
I lived with my parents are Scottish. I had a Scottish accent until I reached mild Scottish accent until I reached primary school. Then it disappeared.
Yeah, see, it doesn't make sense.
It depends on the person. Like some people are more susceptible to mimicking other people's accents. So I mean, like it could have been really strong from the get go, but I feel like after.
But
She
we're
was
also
quite young.
essentially like 200 years after the fact of people living like just on like Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
like, where did it
Yeah.
come from? Does that accent
Yeah.
exist anymore? Like, I don't.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times with sci-fi, authors just don't know where to realistically draw the line with what to bring from Earth and what to not.
Right.
Like I feel like sometimes, like I don't remember, I think it was 27 Hours by Tristina Wright. Like she decided to bring like colorful socks. Like there was a character who like loved mismatched neon socks, which is like a very like 2010 America thing. Yet we're like 300 years into the future and like that survives, but like other things didn't. Like I just feel like sometimes with sci-fi, they like draw the line at really weird places and it doesn't make sense.
You know what that socks thing reminds me of? And this is like a really weird connection. Do you guys remember Halloween Town 2? There was the junk guy with the socks.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like that's what I think of.
It's so funny.
I've never
yeah.
seen
Let's see what other
Brittany,
questions we have in there.
I just want to say my favorite thing about it was the heist.
I liked that part too.
I really liked it.
I didn't. I
Mhm.
personally, I feel like I'm talking a lot, so I'm just gonna say this one.
Oh,
someone
go
else
for
can
it.
talk. The one thing was, I felt like I wasn't satisfied with the way it was resolved. I was expecting a little bit more. I felt again there was a lot of buildup for it.
Yeah.
And I like loved it. I was like, oh my god, like there's so many obstacles. Like they're never gonna accomplish this, and that made it really exciting for me. And then I felt like things just got off so easy in the end.
No, I agree. I kind of wish that was more of a central thing throughout the whole of it, rather than going through all these little hoops
Yes.
to then get to the end. Like if they had one bigger arc in the middle.
Yeah. That's so true.
Just
I almost
expand that
With
one.
the
like
little
okay,
arc.
we ended up like somehow they further developed the heist and they ended up making that the climax of the book.
Mhm.
That's like I feel like that would have been so much fun because I enjoyed what was there, but I agree it could have been expanded and eaten out some of the other bit. Well, sorry, that sounded weird.
So honestly, since we don't have any questions at the moment, if y'all have any questions, you should send them in the chat. Can someone explain to me who is Zila? Like,
Oh,
I
who knows?
who is
I
she?
feel like-
Why
I
was
feel
her
like
perspective
She's
included?
like one of I know. I feel like hers was she was like when I think of Star Trek, she's like she's like the Russian guy. It felt like, when he passed away, unfortunately, in the new movies, the Russian guy, the guy that plays that role where he's like, Vitar, like that guy. I feel like I imagined her as one of those people that was just like the full tech and like put everyone, I don't know why I thought that. But I also kind of found it funny that my audiobook was only missing her parts too,
Yeah, that
because
was
they were so
interesting.
short.
God.
Like,
She
because they were
was
so short. Like,
I feel like she could have had the potential to be such a one of my favorite characters if she'd had been given the
Yeah.
time to develop.
Yeah.
Literally,
It
like,
might happen in the next book. Who knows?
Yeah.
I
It just
just-
felt so pointless having her
I won't know
perspectives
because
when
I won't
her
read it.
perspectives were one sentence to a paragraph.
yeah, I totally agree with that. It was like, they were clearly going for something here with like leaving this air of mystery to Zila. Like it was obviously very intentional for her chapters to be so short, but I still don't get why they did it. I was like, where's the build up of why she's so freaking important? Then she has to be written in, because otherwise, like, what? I know that she was in scenes, but I know that she did stuff in the book, but I just feel like there was no point of her being there because she got no attention whatsoever.
I agree.
Yeah, like I can understand, like I can agree. I understand that there was an intention there, but I don't think it paid off.
Yeah.
I'm just, I can't actually answer how many ex-boyfriends Scarlett had, but I will say that was a part that I liked. I kind of liked Scarlett's list of ex-boyfriends and what their pros and cons were, because I'm like, yep, same, relate.
Scarlett was my favorite character. I really liked her.
Maybe not 50, but I'm just, you know.
I thought it was interesting that like this book is called Aurora Rising, and Aurora is on the cover, like front and center. And I do not feel like she was a front and center character. Like I felt like she was like more like a side character. Like she didn't get, I mean, she got obviously a lot of like screen time essentially, but she just like didn't fall through for me. Or was it?
It took me till like 3/4 into the book that I realized it wasn't Cal on the cover. At first I thought it was Tyler, and then the more I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, it could be Cal. And it really did not occur to me till just about the end. I'm like, oh, wait, it makes sense that Aurora, considering it's called Aurora Rising, would be on the cover. And then I noticed like the white stripe, and I'm like, oh.
And she has like the little like spot in her eye or whatever.
Yeah.
Even when I look at it now, I'm like, you still kind of look like you could be Cal. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also thought it was
oh, sorry. Would you guys end up? I was just gonna say, would you guys continue this series? Like, I know my answers are no, but like, would you guys continue on?
I would.
Yeah.
Do we even know when it's
I want to see where it goes.
out?
I'd like to say that I would, but I feel like it'd be one of those things where it comes out, I'd be like, oh, mental note of it. I should pick that up and read it and see if it gets better. And then I never would.
I think maybe if I hear people rave about it and like people say it's better, or that like problems that I had with the first one are resolved, I might, but honestly, probably not.
I'd have to hear somebody who hated the first one say they like the second one.
Yeah. Totally.
I think I would read it.
Do we know when it comes out?
I would assume like next May. Is that when Aurora Rising came out? Did it come out?
It'll be around the same time next year, yeah.
I liked the audiobook enough. Like I enjoyed like listening to like this spacey audiobook that I think like I would continue with it. And I feel like I have a lot of potential to really like it because it like I said before, it reminded me a lot of like the books that I used to read when I like first got into sci-fi. And I felt like it had the potential to be like this like epic Lunar Chronicles like sci-fi squad, which is what I personally loved. So I would want to see what else comes out, but I'm also like, it's so possible because as we're talking now, my rating has totally dropped to a 3 after I've talked through all of these things that I 100% felt before, but sometimes like I just can't fully like access how important they are until I discuss it with people.
Yeah.
But
same.
So yeah, I think that I would consider it like right now, like if it was out right now, I'd be like, okay, like maybe like. But, you know, a year down the line, I might forget about it.
Yeah. I have to say the audiobook was a much better experience than reading it because I started reading it. I was struggling, you guys, because we have a week to read it, you know? So I'm like, I have to read this book and I'm hating every second of it. And like, I honestly would have put it down if it wasn't for the live show. So then I heard everyone raving about the audiobook. So I picked up the audiobook and that like definitely made it easier. I think the cast did really well. It's just it lacked for me.
Yeah.
Also, why did Cal and Aurora have to like have their romance like right at the worst time possible? I'm like, oh my god, how much is going wrong right now? Why does this always happen? I'm sorry, but in those situations, that is like when I feel the least romantic. I'm like, oh my god, not now. We have shit to do.
Oh my god. Did you guys have a favorite character that you really liked, that you enjoyed their perspective?
Absolutely Scarlett.
Magellan.
Scarlett.
I loved Scarlett.
For some reason, I felt like I really enjoyed listening to Cal's chapters for some reason.
I liked the narrator.
I liked the narrator of Cal.
Yeah. I like Scarlett too.
I also
Fred,
like,
did you have a favorite?
I kind of liked Aurora, but I kind of felt like they were like trying really hard to like make like, oh, I'm so quirky into like a sci-fi thing, like with like the bang and the eye and just like these weird powers, and like I felt like it was like it so felt like
I actually kind of like
the chosen one.
Yeah, it was so chosen one, but like trying not to be chosen one. It was really weird. Like, so I felt like I could have liked her if that was toned down.
I'm also surprised that like she wakes up 200 something years later and is like not freaking out about it. Like she kind of does a little bit like, oh, my family's dead. But like then like when she's having these conversations with like aliens that like, hello, didn't exist 200 years ago, or she didn't know about them then. And she just is like snarky towards them, like all these snarky comments between all 7. They're all snarky. But like, I just feel like if I was in this situation, I wake up 200 years later, I'm in space, there are aliens now. Like, I don't know. I don't think I would be so like annoyed at everyone like she was the whole time. I would be more of like in a mental crisis.
I think I'd be like, they can literally throw me out of the spaceship at any
Oh,
time.
totally.
I don't know.
Oh, the villain reveal. I thought the villain reveal was really, really predictable. Like super predictable. Like called it really quickly.
Yeah.
Like that was just. Yes, and then especially like
I'm trying to remember who the villain was all of a sudden.
I mean, it makes sense. There were no record of it already. For obvious reasons.
Especially when she kept bringing it up.
But I thought that it wasn't
those
her
are
dad. Like I thought it was. I didn't think it was her dad though. I thought it was like her dad, but like taken over
partially
but it was her dad's body.
But still. But yeah, like I knew I had a feeling because they literally brought up so many times, oh my god, those are my last words to my dad. Those are the last words to my dad.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
quite
predictable. You're not gonna bring this up 50 million times. There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
I definitely expected her parents to come back into play in the beginning, but I think along the way I just forgot about it. And because there's so many romances to keep track of. but near the end also I acknowledged that and I was like, oh yeah, like her dad, like that's interesting. But I was also kind of just weirded out by like all of the stuff that was going on at the end that I don't think it had like the big plot twist impact that I was expecting. I just thought all the weird flowery things, like it didn't do it for me.
Also, like,
oh my god, can I also say, like, I thought it was so disgusting and I almost barfed my brains out when they were talking about the trees coming out of the eyeballs. I couldn't handle it.
You should not read Wild Girls.
I just like because I mean I have like trypophobia and that was like it was reminding me of, and I was like, no.
Oh
yeah,
no.
Because they didn't they describe it as like a succulent coming out of her eye? That's what I envisioned. Very creepy.
Yeah. It was so weird.
I do have to say they did get me with that.
Oh my
I was
god.
not expecting that. It's not the plants.
I was trying really hard not to, but like I don't know why, but even though like I get they're like supposed to kind of look like these weird kind of decomposed bodies or something like that with the plants coming out, but like in my head I just kept imagining Easter Island heads with the flowers popping out and I couldn't let that go. I don't know why, but that's literally I just kept imagining they're like sort of these statues that could somehow move. I don't know. But like I literally could not let that image go in my head.
One thing I also wanted to mention that I kept feeling while reading, and I have a feeling that at least someone is going to agree with me, if not all of you, I really felt like I would have appreciated having like either or both a summary and like an encyclopedia about the world while reading.
Yes.
When I like read a backlist book that's like super like speculative, like out of this world, I really like reading along with a summary, and I just feel like I really would have benefited having that in Aurora Rising, or at least like having like in the back just like a few pages of like describing what like each of the different roles on the ship are and like what all the different places and aliens that they're interacting with are. Like I feel like it would have benefited me, at least as a reader, to have something like to reference while reading, because I just feel like there was like a lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot, and there wasn't a lot of substance in some aspects. You know what I mean?
I just call the Legionnaire pilot. Was that so hard?
Yeah, I definitely would. I agree. There was one point in the book where I think Finnegan, is that how you say his name? I can't remember.
Yeah.
He's an alien, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah,
He's not human. He's like something else. There's one point where he like the image comes up and he's like, it's an alien. And I'm like, what does that mean? Because like you're an alien to me for like a human, but like to him, like human and alien, like I couldn't understand like what is what. I need help.
Yeah, I just think that it, like I said, it was just a lot at some points.
I still don't remember what exactly Zila did. What was her role?
Good question.
Was she really smart? Was that it?
Well, she was smart, but I don't know what her position was.
Also, someone said, wasn't she also, she was supposed to be like a sociopath, right? She had like no emotions.
She's the brains, so she's responsible for the scientific and medical duties.
Yeah, she was smart.
Yeah, I knew. So they added like one line.
So I know that some people really
she was a medic too.
I would say that some people really emotionally struggled with the ending, and I totally respect that, but I felt nothing.
Neither. Nothing.
Same.
Like, I mean, I know she's not even technically dead. I mean, she's basically taken over, but I don't even think she's technically dead, but I still felt nothing. I was kind of like, all right.
I think it has to do with this fact that there were 7 perspectives. Like we didn't have enough time in this book to like really do any like feelings or relationships with the character. At least that's how I feel anyways. Like I didn't have the time, or I didn't relate to any of them really, so I didn't really feel.
I felt like if they developed anybody, like honestly, might have, that sort of actually had somewhat of a personality, it might have been Finn. Because Finn definitely, I would say, at least had a distinct personality.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Like I literally would have been sadder if Finn died, although I still would have been that sad.
Yeah, I feel like talking about the ending is like a good place for us to wrap this up. Because I feel like we have really dissected the majority of the book with all of our discussions and stuff. But yeah, I'm glad that we were able to have this discussion all together, and I had so much fun chatting about the Bibliothon with you guys. And thank you so much to everyone.
So sad.
It's literally so sad. Like when I was filming my outro clip for my post day video, I like got really sad when I realized I'm like, oh my god, like I'm ending like my last Bibliothon video. Like
I don't know if I'm gonna even post my Final Bibib blog and I want to only because it's the Final Bibib, and I did film, but I feel like a lot of it was just me saying I didn't read anything today and then crying.
Relatable.
Oh my god, I really was so frustrated with the Bibliothon because I wanted to run sprints so bad, but I had no internet or data left, and I was like, I really want to run sprints, and it will help me so much. But I tried.
I would say that, like, even though I was crazy busy and really didn't get much reading done and, really struggled, I will at least give myself credit that most days out of the Bibliothon, I got on for at least for a couple of sprints almost every day. I think there might have been like 1 or 2 days I couldn't hop on, but I tried so hard. Even if I couldn't read and I was doing other things where I could at least check my phone, I tried so hard to give you guys sprints when I could. I tried really hard. I don't even know if that showed, but I tried. I really did. It was like the best way I knew how to attempt to stay connected.
Yeah, me too. I love running sprints. It's always been one of my favorite.
Yeah, the Bibliothon is always such a good time, and I'm so glad that we spent these last 5 years doing this together. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. 5
Um,
years. That's
5
crazy.
years.
I'm old now.
I know.
Sierra, I'm older than you.
Well,
That's true. Brittany's the grandma of the group. Let's be real.
I'm the grandma.
So yeah, guys, stay tuned on Twitter. We'll give you guys some more announcements when we are talking about posting the winners for the video challenges. But feel free to tweet us more about what you guys read this week and some good Bibliothon memories, because we would love to hear them. But thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will chat with you guys one more time soon. But this is the final live show. Bye.
Bye.